the Madman! Welcome to Custom Hearthstone cards again, and reiterating my commitment to do 2 a week. So let me set the stage. These are cards from November 24th, which means it's cards designed without having seen all of the expansion cards of Rosticon's Rumble. So another interesting look to what people designed without having known the meta and without having even known the cards of the set. Serine Stegodon, 3 mana 2/2 Paladin, stealth at the start of your turn, adapt. So it's a mirror of Shade of Naxxramas, except instead of +1/+1 each turn, you adapt each turn. That might seem fair since one of the adaptations is actually +1/+1, but where it's unfair, it turns out that adapts can stack up way more insanely than +1/+1. I mean, even if you do something simple like +3 health one turn, then +3 attack the other turn, then it's like you got 3 turns of +1/+1 and 2 turns. It's insane. Design, I'll give it 3 stars because it's a clear, wow, you play this on turn 3 and you just win snowball type of cards. You can't put a snowball effect on something that permanently has stealth. Balance, 2 stars. It's a difficult to balance card because if you make the mana cost more, then there aren't enough turns in the game to make it pay off. Stealth for 1 turn would be an interesting fix to it. Time Elemental. For Mage, 1 mana 1/2. Battlecry, you've played this last turn. First of all, the text is a bit crazy. It's like, what does that mean? So if you've played a minion last turn, it means it basically comes with charge. I think it's fine to print a 1 mana 1/2 elemental with charge. And that's not all. Mage has the elemental effects of needing to have played an elemental last turn. So you can actually play Time Elemental on a turn, and then play on the same turn a elemental lover, and then the elemental effect will have taken place since you've played Time Elemental last turn. I think this would be a really interesting addition to the elemental family. I'll give the design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. Aiming Practice, 4 mana Hunter card. Change a minion's health to 1, then deal 1 damage to a random minion until you hit it. So a combination of Hunter's Mark and Bouncing Blades. Currently it would be way too strong because, well, you've probably heard that we're in Hearthstone right now. This would fit right into Spell Hunter as a cheaper assassinate with plus side in that you can also deal damage to like incidental things. With the slight downside that you can hit your own stuff. I really like the idea of it. Design 5 stars. Really cool thought of combining Hunter's Mark and Bouncing Blades, and I think it should go all the way. The balance 4 stars could be fixed by, instead of deal 1 damage to a random minion until you hit it, deal 1 damage to a random minion until 1 dies. Then it's exactly Hunter's Mark plus Bouncing Blade played. And you're very likely to kill the 1 health minion, but not guaranteed. A Thane of Knives. Rogue minion, 4 mana 2/2. Battlecry, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions. Combo, draw a card for each minion killed. And when you cast this card, you basically play Thane of Knives. And additionally, you get the 2/2. And you draw a card for each minion killed if you've actually comboed the card. It's very difficult to kill enemy minions for 1 damage, so I imagine the most you could realistically draw with this is like 1 card. You do have your dagger when you're rogue, so you can probably finesse that. Sometimes you get 2 cards with it. Very cool card. Love the wordplay. 5-star design. Balance 5 stars. I think it's well balanced. It pushes a control rogue archetype also, which is always fun. We've actually seen a card like this, now that chat's reminded me. Twilight Flamecaller from Mage was 3 mana 2/2, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions. And that was, like, not really played. So that's more precedent that this card will work just fine. Forecaster, Warlock minion, 3 mana 2/1. Battlecry, return a minion to its owner's hand. It costs health instead, and also Murloc. This is a really multifaceted card in the sense that you can return your own card. So you could go Keleseth 2, Shorecaster 3, replay Keleseth immediately. You can also return the opponent's minions, kind of being like a sap effect then. But much weaker sap because having minions cost health instead of the mana makes it much easier to replay it with the tempo. Use it to get rid of your opponent's taunt just before you go attack. Like, use it to return your Keleseth, or also use like cool Battlecry effects. It's a really good idea. I like the card design here. I'll give it 5 stars on design. When we're talking balance though, given that it can do all of those things and it does it so well on all fronts, I think it probably needs 1 mana additional at least. I don't quite know if 4 mana 2/1 would make it like incredibly OP in some sort of deck that I haven't thought about yet, but for now that seems okay. 3 stars on balance, needs the mana cost raised in order to keep all this flexibility, but what an interesting flexible card it is. You could also restrict the targets to either the opponent's side or on your side, but I think the card is much more interesting when you can hit either side. Murloc Recruiter, a Shaman Murloc. 1 mana, 1/1 Battlecry, your basic hero power becomes summon a random Murloc. And the Murlocs are just Murloc versions of the totems. We've seen a card like this before for Paladin, so given that Vilefin Inquisitor is basically this, I'll give the design on this 3 stars. The balance I'm actually going to give 3 stars also because it's basically Vilefin Inquisitor in a world where Vilefin Inquisitor was played with Murlocs. So this could easily be a 1 mana 1/3 also. Uppercut! 4 mana warrior spell. Send a minion into the air. At the start of your next turn, it returns to the board and takes 5 damage. This card is just oozing with flavor in that you're punching a minion so hard it flies off the board and will take a full turn to land back on with a thunk. I'm gonna give the design on that 5 stars. I even think it's very well balanced. It's 4 mana, deal 5 damage. I mean, 4 mana, deal 5 to a minion only is actually a little bit weak. So it has the added benefit of removing the minion from the board for 1 turn. Yeah, just so cool. Tiger's Chosen. Paladin minion, 2 mana, 3/2, Battlecry. The next spell you play this turn costs double and is cast twice. So it's a worse Electrostorm Surge, but it's in Paladin, and in Paladin, the cards are quite a bit stronger. And that's why, even though this is a little bit of a mirror of Electra, I think it actually has to be weaker than this. The variety of cards you could cast with this, from an aggressive deck casting Blessing of Might twice, to a control deck Flash of Lighting, double cast the Flash of Light, maybe you've casted it with the Kangor also, Consecration on 10, which is basically like a Flame Strike. It's got a lot of variety in which it would be really strong, but perhaps most concerning is Coin, surprisingly. You're going second, you play Tiger's Chosen, and then you play Coin, and then you have like a 0 mana 3/2. So it's really flexible, and I'll give the design 5 stars because it's a cool twist on Electra Storm Surge. But at the same time, I think it's still too strong. Tiger's Chosen balance 4 stars. I think it just needs a small nerf to like a 2 mana 2/2 stat line. That's actually not a small nerf. I think it needs a nerf down to a 2/2 stat line. Inferno Guard is a Warlock minion, 5 mana, 4/8. Taunt, Overkill, deal 5 damage to your hero, also a demon. An interesting twist on Overkill, in that it's a negative Overkill effect. But it's through looking at the twist that you realize it's kind of flawed because it's confusing and it's also irrelevant. So Overkill is an effect that only goes off when you, on your turn, kill a minion with your minion. With a card with Taunt, the opponents are just going to trade their minions into your minion and the Overkill won't trigger. But it's a little bit confusing because at first people might think, oh, it probably triggers, right? So I'm just going to send my minions into this. Really, it would never come into effect. It has Taunt, and you're not going to overkill anything with it since it has Taunt. You're just going to let it sit there. So it's just like a 5 mana 4/8 with Taunt with no real downside. Design, 2 stars, and on top of it, it demonstrates that overkill negative effect is just a bad idea. Because I think people are already confused enough that overkill only works on their turn. Balance, 3 stars-ish. I was like torn between 3 and 4 stars, but really it doesn't matter too much when just the design is flawed. On a side note, like, I'm not entirely sure if a vanilla Taunt should be about a 5 mana 4/6 or 5 mana 4/7. Spirit of the Toad, Shaman minion. 2 mana, 0/3, stealth for 1 turn. After you summon a totem, transform it into a 2/4 toad with Taunt. Interestingly enough, this was my revealed card. I play. Spirit of the Frog. Spirit of the Frog? What's that? They knew the name, but they didn't know the effect. So that seems awfully strong of an effect. Basically, for 2 mana, you get a 2/4 each turn. And it's protected for a turn since it has stealth. So the way to add it is basically like Spirit of the Toad has 2 mana, Hero Power 2 mana, so it's like a 4 mana 2/4 plus 0/3, like 4 mana's 2/7, and also you get it 1 more turn, so it's like a 6 mana 4/11, and that's just a bit too much stats for the mana cost, but it gets even worse on top of that. This is an even card, and an even Shaman, the totem only costs 1 mana, so that's a 4 mana 4/11. Plus, it naturally defends the Spirit of the Toad also, so it's like a snowball card, and if you don't actually manage to get rid of the pretty difficult to get rid of 4 health taunts, the Spirit of the Toad can activate again, and really if it activates 3 times, you've lost. Currently, if it activates even 2 times in even Shaman, you've lost, and it's like pretty much always going to activate 2 times in even Shaman. So, design, 5 stars, balance 2 stars, even though the fixed list is just plus 1 mana. When you're tacking on 1 mana to like a card with this low a mana cost, it's like especially overpowered. Faceless Prophet, Priest Minion, 4 mana 2/5. Battle Cry, choose a minion, give it Death Rattle, shuffle this into your deck, it costs 1. So more synergy with jnZaneHD, and I think that deck probably could have used something like this. As is, it's a little bit uninspired since it's just more of the same. So I'll give the design 3 stars. Balance, it's way too weak, having the advanced knowledge that the jnZaneHD deck never came about. But I did predict the jnZaneHD deck wouldn't ever come about. I think this card could use vanilla stats, just like Yeti Plus, kind of similar to Drachnid Operative for pushing the mechanic. So I think it should be a 4 mana 4/5. Balance, 3 stars. Raise the stats up by 2 attack. So there's the custom Hearthstone cards of the week from November 24th. Look forward to 2 of these a week. And this time I mean it.